One battle down, another huge one ahead. We'll take a look at how Republican Norm Coleman and DFLer Skip Humphrey plan to fight for the job of Minnesota governor.
In Wisconsin tonight, 3 state workers on their way to Siren died in a plane crash. We'll have details. And you'll find out the latest on the investigation into a deadly fire in the town of Superior. Good evening, I'm Michelle Lee.
And I'm Dave Jensch. Today is the beginning of 7 weeks of intense campaigning, particularly in the race for Minnesota governor.
Just hours after Attorney General Skip Humphrey finished celebrating his win for the DFL party nomination, he hit the campaign trail here in Duluth.
Meanwhile, Norm Coleman spent the day trying to get votes in the Twin Cities. Kim Kaiser takes us on the campaign trail.
The new Democratic candidate for governor, Skip Humphrey, is exhausted from last night's victory party.
We can make Minnesota #1.
But that didn't stop him from getting a quick start on his campaign. Instead of debating with opponents in the Twin Cities, he talked about some of his goals at the Duluth AFL-CIO convention.
To make sure to return more than $1 billion worth of permanent tax cuts. That's what's so important, because that gives our families the kind of power to go forward.
Humphrey's opponent, Republican Norm Coleman, is also campaigning about taxes. He says the Democrats will be spending more money than they save.
They are going to be a big spender. They've all promised tax cuts, even though their whole history has been raising taxes. If a Democrat gets elected governor, they're going to raise your taxes.
Humphrey and Coleman will also be facing the Reform Party candidate, Jesse Ventura.
They think I'm a non-factor. Well, I'll tell you what, they're in for the surprise of their life come November 3rd here in the state of Minnesota. And it also makes me feel good now, too, because I'm the only veteran running for governor in the state.
While Ventura gained his fame from his pro wrestling days, Norm Coleman is well known for his work as mayor of St. Paul. Humphrey also is aided by the recognition that comes from a famous name in Minnesota and national politics. His 86-year-old mother mentioned that at Humphrey's victory party.
Thank you all so very much. This is a wonderful night. I'm a little excited, but anyway, wouldn't Hubert have been proud?
Thank you, Mom.
Thank you.
Now Minnesotans will have to see if an energetic start to these campaigns will last over the next 7 weeks. Kim Kaiser, News 6.
Republican candidate Norm Coleman spent part of the day speaking with business leaders at the Chamber of Commerce in Minneapolis.
He plans to make a campaign stop in Duluth tomorrow afternoon. Well, 3 Wisconsin state employees headed for Siren are dead tonight following a plane crash in a cranberry bog near Tomah. Pilot John Sherman and DNR workers Dale Patterson and Michael Witt died at the scene. Governor Thompson says the pilot reported smoke in the cabin, declared an emergency, and planned to land the plane at a Tomah area airport. The twin-engine Beechcraft Baron was one of 29 owned by the state of Wisconsin. Well, a town of Superior man is fighting for his life tonight after fire severely burned him, took the life of a Superior man, and then destroyed a storage barn.
Meanwhile, investigators are trying to find out exactly what led to the fatal blaze. Kareem Winter joins us now from the scene with the latest on that investigation. Kareem?
Well, David, fire investigators believe the source of the fire came from a car that was located inside the barn. It's actually the shell of a Corvette now after what happened yesterday, and fire investigators spent the whole day combing that entire area, the back of the barn, looking for any answers into yesterday's fire, searching for any clues that they could find. Meanwhile, the man who died in this fire has been identified as 49-year-old Brian Reich of Superior, and his family's in the process of making funeral arrangements for him. The one survivor, the barn owner, has been identified. He's Arvid Hagen, and he's still listed in serious condition at Miller DeWan Hospital.
A lot of things here together because we're neighbors here. He had a turkey house in there before, and then when they quit raising turkeys, well, he was storing vehicles in there.
That's what a neighbor and close friend of Arvid Hagen had to say. Arvid is described as an outgoing and friendly person who's lucky to be alive.
I understand that they were going to try and pull the truck out of there, or the car, because it was on fire. But it got too hot, and so they were going to get out, and Mr. Hagen got out, and evidently the other fellow was behind him. He thought he was right behind him, but he didn't get out.
Fire investigators say the contents inside the barn made it that much harder for the victim to get out.
Because it was a turkey barn, there's a lot of dust and whatnot associated with that. And we're speculating that acted as such in the same manner as grain dust. And, you know, when you get an ignition source, it's very flammable.
Now, David, there are also, since this was a storage area for cars, investigators have been searching into whether or not there may have been a gasoline leak somewhere. So there are many different elements. Right now, they strongly believe that it's a source of a Corvette that was located inside the barn that the men had been working on that time that blew up. But again, we won't know anything until tomorrow. Back to you, Dave.
Karine, before you go, how is Mr. Hagen's family dealing with this tragedy?
Well, we spoke to neighbors and friends of the family today, and they said that the family's having a hard time. Mr. Hagen just suffered 2 heart attacks from the incident. He's inhaled a lot of smoke, which affected his lungs and heart, so they're having a tough time compounded by that problem. So they're hanging in there, and they're just hoping for the best. Back to you.
Thanks, Karine. Workers at Mintac in Mountain Iron should know tomorrow whether their jobs will be affected by a production line shutdown. Company leaders say the action is in response to record levels of low-price steel imports. Representatives of Steelworkers Union will meet with Mintac employees tomorrow in Eveleth to discuss U.S. Steel's layoff plan and an alternative proposal which won't include layoffs. Mintac's Line 3 should be shut down October 5th, and an operating plan is expected to be finalized by Friday. Mintac is North America's largest producer of taconite pellets. In other employment news, mechanics at the Duluth Airbus Maintenance Base are among thousands of Northwest Airlines workers who won't be getting unemployment benefits for time off during the pilot strike. Under state law, workers who are laid off receive no benefits for the first full week they're off the job. The Northwest workers would have been entitled to an unemployment check for this week, but instead are returning to work.
Thousands more travelers were in the air today as Northwest resumed its flights. Today at Duluth International Airport, red balloons and carnations greeted travelers, and passengers of Northwest were happy to have the nightmare of the strike end just in time for them to arrive or leave to their destination.
We came from Ireland for a conference that's on in Duluth, for a training conference, so if we didn't get the flight, we would have been looking at driving overnight.
And so you must be thrilled and very happy.
Oh, delighted.
Flights return today on a limited schedule. Northwest expects to return to its full flying load by September 21st. Next in the Kids Corner, a trip to the beach.
Well, we'll take you to Wisconsin Point to see what some Superior students are doing to make the world a better place. Hey, George, you know it was almost warm enough today to wade in Lake Superior.
And as warm as the water is, it wouldn't have been such a bad deal. I'll tell you, this summery weather is going to continue for at least 1 day and maybe 2, but lurking on the horizon, I have a cold snap worthy of the Nordland. Complete details on that in just a minute.
Keeping you in touch with today's news with Michelle Lee, Dave Jensch, meteorologist George Kessler, and Tom Hansen Sports. You're watching News 6 at 6.
George's Garden is built and maintained by the London Road Garden Center. For more information, log on to our website at www.kbjr.com.
Hang on to your senses for the new chocolate rock from Dairy Queen. Your ears buzz when you crack through that chocolate shell. Your nose tingles over hot fudge surrounding that DQ soft serve. Your tongue does the tango. It's cold, it's hot, it's crunchy with toasted almonds. Your eyes spin when they see more hot fudge and toasted almonds. And when you scoop up the last of this treat, you realize you want another. The chocolate rock treat. Hurry in and get one for just $1.99 only from Dairy Queen. It's what your senses crave.
If the full extent of your interior decorating knowledge is limited to red and blue plaids don't work well with yellow and green stripes, maybe it's time for Schneiderman's Furniture. Our team of talented professionals will help you find the look you want at a price you can afford. Decorating sense? Forget about it. All you need to know is how to get here. Got furniture?
The final days of the Toyota National Clearance Event are on now at your Toyota dealer. We're saying so long to all our 98 Camrys. It's au revoir with your choice of a low $229 a month lease. Or buy and choose $750 cash back. Or choose 4.8% financing for 48 months. So hurry to your Toyota dealer now for the Toyota National Clearance Event before we say see ya to this amazing event.
Light up your home with savings from Menard. Check out Regent Lighting's new security lights. Choose high-efficiency 100-watt mercury vapor lights or halogen motion detectors, $19.99 each after rebate. Keep your dog safe in a kennel from Master Helco. They clamp together easily. This 6x6 kennel is $108. This 6x12 kennel is $166. Lock into low prices with savings from Menard.
Save big money at Menards.
NBC Premiere Week and all-new Law & Order.
These people callously and deliberately abandoned a sick little girl.
An adoption goes horribly wrong.
We didn't mean for her to die.
And it's going to take a new DA and some new ideas about justice.
I may be the new kid here, but to me, this sounds like murder.
To put them away.
That sorry excuse for a woman has a hole in her soul.
She was going to die anyway.
No deals for anybody. Let's hang them all.
The Law & Order season premiere, NBC next Wednesday.
George Kessler's weather is certified by the American Meteorological Society.
It has been a gorgeous day around the Northland. It looked a lot like yesterday, except the temperature was about 10 degrees warmer. Right now it's 78 degrees. The dew point is low, though. It's 49. It's the old saw. It's not the heat, it's the humidity. Well, there isn't much humidity, 36%, and so it's very tolerable out there. Wind out of the west at 10, and pressure is 30.6, all very mundane numbers. The weather watchers, though, a few eyebrows were raised at how warm it was. The one cool location up there in Hovland for Joseph and Mary Ruth, 68 degrees. Not too shocking since they're right on the lake. 74, Ruth O'Brien and Herfster, 78 degrees. Merv Lindelof and Iron River, Adrian Apple and Poplar has 74. Head on over to Cloquet. Lauren Wappes has 76 degrees. Now, those are the cooler numbers. You head out west, this is where that warm air is arriving from. Those winds are out of the southwest. It's propelling it up in this direction. The Schwampinator over at Long Lake has 84 degrees, 80 for Kevin Hoffman and Aiken. Also 80 in the Grand Rapids area, and 79 degrees, Dave Angier up in Gein. Across the continent, a pool of cold air is beginning to develop. It's just swirling around. Maybe tomorrow we'll show you the temperatures over in Siberia, which have been, well, needless to say, a little chilly. The Siberians are living up to their reputation. We have one tiny nose heading to the south there. There's a weak frontal system that's working its way up in Canada. That'll be sliding through the region tonight. But before it heads in, there's that way that storms work. It's just cool. They have counterclockwise flow. So behind them, the winds are out of the north or northwest, and that brings in the cool air. But ahead of them, it's coming up from the south, and that's what's bringing up this nice little slot of warm air. We want to talk about warm. It was in the 90s again in the Dakotas. Williston, North Dakota, not noted as one of the warmer places in the universe, hit 95 degrees this afternoon, also the 90s, out in the Imperial Valley of California. Satellite picture in motion. You want to get closer to your set, you might as well go ahead. Look across the entire state of Wisconsin and the entire state of Minnesota. And just to put this in perspective, these two states, there's not a single cloud around, and they're larger than the entire country of Germany. No clouds. Pod to clouds. You throw in a couple of the Dakotas out there, which don't have any clouds either, and you're realizing this is a very potent little pot of high pressure that we have. There's that frontal system that I was speaking of, though, and those winds will be shifting around tomorrow. Now it's time for tropical fun. Here it is. This is Tropical Storm George with an S, which is French George, and I have no clue how to pronounce it, so I'm not even going to try. The storm has two distinct halves, a little seam down the middle, but that'll probably heal up tonight, and this will become a hurricane sometime during the day tomorrow. The good news is that we can admire the storm for its form and function, and you have to look very, very hard to even spot any land at all. It's out in the middle of the ocean, and if we're fortunate, that's exactly where it will stay. Just sit out there and look good. It'll be like a poser storm. Eventually it'll turn into the North Atlantic, but it still bears watching. Radar across the region, some tropical showers in Florida. There's another area in the Gulf of Mexico that we need to keep our eyes on to make sure that it does not get up to dittos next couple of days and form a tropical system in the Gulf. We'll be watching that. Then we've had some rain in South Texas. It's so odd. It was so dry there early this summer, and now they can't get it to stop raining. Truly feast or famine. Here go the weather maps into motion. That front will be approaching. Toasty air with us for most of the day tomorrow, so expect another summer-like afternoon. But by the time Friday arrives, well, the high pressure from Canada will well and truly take over. This is not Arctic air. That is waiting on the 5-day. I'll show you that in a second. First for tonight, not as nippy as it has been. Some of the weather watchers, in fact, the Mystery Weather Watcher was down to 38 degrees this morning in Mysteryville outside of Sawyer. But most locations will be only in the upper 40s or lower 50s tonight. And for tomorrow, I'm going to call it slightly toasty. Partly toasty with a chance of mostly toasty by afternoon. 75 to 80 degrees. You will feel like summer. That's our average high temperature for mid-July. Then on Friday, still splendid, but we'll come down a notch on the old temperatures because that front has gone through. Take a look at this.
I'm looking.
There's not a misprint. Look at Monday. That's a high temperature of 58 degrees, and I'm being generous.
What?
If this cold air really comes bombing to the south, I wouldn't be shocked to find some areas with highs in the 40s. The early part of next week.
It's the end of September. We should expect that.
Yes, but we're big babies.
I'm taking the day off.
We've had very warm temperatures.
Take the week off.
And we have, you know, now we're going to be smacked in the face with this. It could be a big surprise.
We can handle it.
It'll be brisk for the morning run.
Just don't say the S word yet. Snow. Oh, George, let's go. Come on. Let's...
I haven't said anything.
All right. I won't either.
Well, to the Kids Corner. Lake Superior Elementary students are making a clean sweep of the Wisconsin Point Beach.
As part of the International Beach Sweep program, the kids are on a mission. And Jason Rice reports they're learning why nature requires neatness.
We're picking up garbage, and that helps.
The September sun lights up a sandy classroom for Lake Superior Elementary students. This light is perfect for finding the tidbits of trash left over from a summer of beach parties. The kids are cleaning up Wisconsin Point, but more importantly, they're learning why it needs to be junk-free.
I think it's better to be out here clean so all the animals don't get hurt and everything.
Yeah.
The young beachcombers scour every inch of the dunes. Plastics here, pop cans there.
Put it in the bag.
They jot down what they find, and later on, they'll add up their information to see just what items are found the most. That way, they can talk about ways to stop the growing garbage concerns.
This looks like a firework that's in my hand. If there's a piece of glass right there, you don't see it, you could step on it and hurt yourself and cut yourself.
And we found 4 pieces of glass.
The Lake Superior Elementary kids are aware of the good deed they're doing, and as they swing through one of the Northland's most beautiful beaches, they're being trained as the future guardians of the waters for which their school was named.
Yeah. If you're gonna litter, stay away. Find a trash can or something.
On Wisconsin Point, Jason Rice, News 6.
What a great project. Well, information on garbage the kids collected will be reported to the Lake Superior Center as part of a study on Lake Superior shoreline pollution.
Oh, great. It's a great project.
Well, some quarterback changes for Sunday's big game.
They talk about studying. They're studying the playbook, but with different quarterbacks in charge. We all know, of course, Brad Johnson's hurt, so Randall Cunningham will start. But Detroit has made some changes as well. Scott Mitchell has dropped from the starter to third string. We'll have more on the NFL, college football, and Pony League football to talk about when we come back.
There comes a point in your life when you outgrow those cute little pickups, at which time you might want to consider something a little more adult. A truck that can run rings around compacts. Dodge Dakota, with more room and more available towing, payload, and power. Magnum power. Dakota. It's time to put away the toys.
For the best seat in the house, always at matinee prices, come to Happy Sleeper, where you can custom order your sofa direct from the factory at an unaccustomed low price.
How can Happy Sleeper offer furniture prices this low? Well, it's simple. We own the factory, and when you own the factory, almost anything's possible.
Find out what the factory advantage can do for you. There's nothing as comforting as the factory prices at Happy Sleeper.
Recently, a group of homeowners were told the windows they bought were just as good as Andersen. Unfortunately, they discovered that wasn't the case. A jury agreed on March 19, 1997, in a New Jersey court of law. So, if anyone ever tells you another brand of windows is just as good as Andersen, ask them if it'll hold up in court. Worry-proof, time-proof. Andersen Windows.
Who's that, Grandma?
That would have been your great-uncle Floyd. About 65 years ago, he was playing hide-and-seek with his friends. And they never found him.
If you're gonna play to win,
Nobody found me!
play to win. If you're gonna have roast beef, have roast beef. Hardee's tender roast beef, specially seasoned, oven roasted, fresh sliced to order.
If you're gonna go all out.
And now, sports with Tom Hansen.
The 2-0 Vikings face the 0-2 Lions this Sunday. Today, Detroit pulled quarterback Scott Mitchell in favor of Charlie Batch. Mitchell dropped a third string. Also today, Vikings wide receiver Randy Moss kicked off his Purple Pioneers program. Roxanne Battle explains.
Randy Moss.
In what is among his first community efforts, rookie sensation Randy Moss toured St. Joseph's Home for Children today and launched Randy's Purple Pioneers.
Y'all got my shirts on. I'd like to see that.
They're children who will be rewarded with Viking tickets for doing what they're supposed to do, behave and go to school.
School is very important to get your grades, to be successful. So I know all you guys like money, don't you? I am screaming, but money's also important. And how much do I get paid? It's going to all start out with your schooling, and schooling is going to have your money.
He's a first-round draft pick passed over by 20 other teams who was quickly becoming money for the Vikings and Minnesota because his coach took a chance.
He's going to always know that things that he's done in the past that he's had to learn from and move on from, and I think that's what makes him a great shining example.
I think he's a good role model for the kids, so. Why? Because he knows what he wants and he encourages everybody to go for what they believe they can do.
And what Moss wants to do is give back to a community he's already starting to call home. Why'd you buy a house?
Because I plan to be here for a while. I plan to be here for a while. I think if I have anything to do with it, my ability on the football field, I think that I'm going to be here for years to come.
Green Bay Packers will face Cincinnati this Sunday. Today, Packers defensive end Reggie White was named the NFC Defensive Player of the Week for his play against Tampa Bay. The Superior City Council talked football last night. Not Packer football, but pony football. 12-year-old Billy O'Connell weighs 230 pounds and exceeds the 170-pound weight limit. He and others like him want to play. The council took no action but encouraged